Okay. Greetings, family. Welcome again back to the Glimpses of the Warrior Within Martial Arts podcast. I'm your host, Grandmaster Diedra Cole. And today, my special invited guest is none other than Mr. Grandmaster Samuel Scott himself, CEO at Full Circle Martial Arts Academy in Glendale, Maryland. And today, Grandmaster Scott and I are going to be discussing our topic, the business of martial arts. Welcome, 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 Grandmaster Scott. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you today?
Well, thank you, GM, for having me. I'm doing well, thank you. Wonderful new year, ready to kick 2021 or take 2022 by the horns, I should say. Kick out 2021.
Out. Absolutely. We've been waiting on this. Waiting on this, And I was thinking about how with this podcast, you actually were one of the first people that I initially reached out to interview when I first started it. And I know you were busy with a lot of things, that some of the things we're going to be talking about today. And then I got busy and, but the bottom line is timing is everything. And we know God's timing is best.
That's
so
right.
I'm so glad that we finally have an opportunity to talk about it. And we got some good stuff to talk about, y'all.
Yeah, honored to be here too. And
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you hear me okay?
Oh yeah, crystal clear.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so yeah, Grandmaster Scott, I'm sure many of you already know, has been in the game for a long time. He's a warrior, no doubt, former champion tournament competitor. As a matter of fact, we first crossed paths, some 30 plus years ago at the Capital Classics tournament, right? So we really go way back.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed. And then even more recently, a few years ago, we were inducted together into Joe Steve Muhammad. Shout out to my instructor and to his BKF Ancient Alpha Warrior Hall of Fame. So so we've been crossing paths for a while now, and finally we have made some time to sit down and talk about it. So that's what we're going to do. So Grandmaster Scott, I know that you have a background in law enforcement and that you've authored several books, of which we'll also discuss later, and just a myriad of other accomplishments under your belt. Can you just tell us about, and our listeners and viewers, a little bit about your background, like where you grew up at, where you were born, and how your journey with martial arts first started?
Sure. Well, basically, I started out born and raised in New York in a little area in Long Island called Gordon Heights.
Okay.
And so I was about 12, 13 years old when I started martial arts. Back then it was all about going to the movies and seeing Five Fingers of Death and all those 25 cents to get into the movie theater and stay all day.
Long as you the same era.
Right, they there all day. So that was my start. There was nothing around in the Long Island area except Taekwondo. And so we trained basically in people's basements. My mother couldn't afford formal martial art class with me. I was a 60 baby. So a lot of those schools out there didn't even want you in their schools. So from there, Bruce Lee came along and the black uniform versus the white uniform and had the style thing going on. And so he immediately took my focus into the art of Kung Fu. And so I moved to Texas, forget what year it was, 77, I believe. And I started training in Kung Fu in San Marcos, Texas, under a gentleman called Grandmaster Gums. And so from there, I moved into Wing Chun as I moved here to DC area. I've been in DC now since the 80s. And so I moved into Wing Chun. And then I went to Grandmaster Dennis Brown, Charlotte Academy, and got a black belt under his organization as well. And then I jumped into the Filipino martial arts.
Okay.
And growing up in New York, I want to say that I studied martial arts for self-defense, right? It was strictly to be able to get on the bus, go to school, get back on the bus and get home, go to the park and be able to defend myself if I had to. So that was the primary.
Okay.
In Maryland, that's when I got into the competitive side of things, because that was the thing. A champion yourself, going to these tournaments was the thing, especially if you're looking to open your own school,
Mm-hmm.
I started that journey here while I was with Grandmaster Dennis Brown, and did pretty good. You know, won a gold medal in International Police Olympics, and I mean, fought people from all over the world. Competed against the late Steve Nasty Anderson,
I remember him.
Austin. Grandmaster Jerry Fontanez and I were supposed to go up for grand champion at the top 10 nationals, but I blew my ankle out. So it was a lot of fun. You know, we had fights, and you know, a lot of people say that the sparring piece of it isn't real, isn't this, isn't that. Let me tell you something. You get in the ring, a 12 by 12 ring, and have somebody fire a 90-mile-an-hour hook kick at you and tell me if it's real or not, right?
Come on now. Come on now. Yes, indeed.
If nothing else, we learned what? We learned speed, timing, rhythm, power, right?
Mm-hmm. And I would say that was already definitely, to me, especially once you got to the brown and black belt level, that was semi-full contact.
Oh, no question. Yeah, no question. Yeah. So if you weren't focused in there, you were going to sleep.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Simple. You know,
absolutely.
So from there, I got into the Filipino martial arts, and that I made it my home because I like the freedom of the Filipino arts. You know, nothing against any other art. There's so many beautiful arts out here. You know that. But for me, I was focused more on teaching people how to protect themselves quickly. And so I wasn't really looking to have a school with the primary focus on getting people to black belt. That's a given. That's my space. Mm-hmm. But what about the people who don't really want to come to a class? They don't want to spend years in a traditional format. They just want to learn how to protect themselves relatively quickly so they can protect themselves and their family. And so I decided to go that route. And so the Filipino arts was a perfect match for me because it wasn't as structured per se like the traditional arts. And Filipino arts is traditional, right?
Uh-huh.
But the flow of the art is what attracted me, right? And then the fact that they focus on edge weapon, you know, impact weapons, things or weapons that you can legitimately use on the street as long as you're justified.
Yeah.
So that's where I planted myself. And, you know, I innovated my own system called Combat Kuntao. I don't say creator because there's nothing new under the sun. Mm-hmm. I say
I'm glad you're talking about that because that was going to be my next question is what discipline are you currently teaching now? What style? So yeah, go ahead and tell us about that.
Yeah, so it's Combat Kuntao, which means Combat Kuntao means combat fist weight.
Okay.
And, it's just a streamlined system of self-defense. It's a collective art where the focus is just all on reality-based self-defense. So we address all the ranges of combat, meaning we address weapon range, kicking range, punching range, elbow and knee range, and grappling range. So we're not professional grapplers. And I always like to tell people that because that's a skill set in itself. We do what we call street grappling, right? Mm-hmm. Where there's no rules. You know, there's no rules on the street. So
right.
Our focus in the grappling piece is to get that person down and subdue them quickly as possible. And so, yeah. And so it's been working. We have a large adult base and been able to spread the program around the country and outside the country by way of, you know, social media.
Yeah, that's been a blessing in that regard because, and for those of you out there watching, if you haven't seen Grandmaster Scott and his students do their thing, they can catch you on YouTube and Facebook, and we'll talk about all that stuff too, all the different ways that they can find you and reach you. Man, I saw some videos. Once I watched a video of you working it out in a chair. I was like, oh my goodness. I mean, wow. That was so impressive. You know,
that was the finals at the Capitol Classics.
Ah, okay. Man, I'm like, I don't want to mess with that brother ever. I want to always have him on my side and be on his team. But yes, indeed. So, man, that's awesome. And congratulations. And again, we'll talk about more of how people can find you, you know, as we get closer to the end of the show. So the next thing that I want to talk about is, so one of the main reasons that I chose to reach out to you in the first place to interview you is because I saw how you're always advocating for the safety and the protection of women in particular, right? And because myself, I'm, always I'm an advocate of women, primarily because I am a woman, and I just feel like women should know how to protect themselves. And I right now I'm doing this thing where it's like it's so much, so women, there's so many parts to us. So
Yes.
myself, and that's why I started this Glimpses of the Warrior Within Boldly Be You conference that myself and my sister, Great Grandmaster Rita, we're going to be doing in just less than 2 weeks. It'll be our first workshop that we're launching because again, we want to make sure that women get what they need, because it just seems like, and I know you have an event coming up on that same day. Darn it, we'll talk about it too. I don't know how we got that crossed up.
I would love to.
Yeah, so it just seems to me like so many people out there don't really, I guess, stress on how important it is for women to learn how to protect themselves and to be protected. It seems like, especially women of color, especially women in our community. So I just, my hat goes off to you for, taking the initiative to start with your Warriors Against Trafficking. And can you tell us about that initiative and what was your inspiration in founding that?
Yes. But first, let me, give you kudos, because one of the things I admire about you, and I've said this to you before, and I want to say it publicly, is I admire how no matter what platform you're on, you always seem to find time to speak life to women. You know what I mean? To empower women, to encourage them. And so the program that you have, in my opinion, it's much needed, and I feel it's gonna blow up, because people need, or women need, to be inspired and encouraged from warriors. You know what I mean? People that are walking the walk. This folks are tired of fake role models. You know what I mean? And they're starting to turn a blind eye to church now. You know what I mean? And I know that's a tough topic, but it's real. Yeah. And I just believe in just speaking truth to power. The reality is, folks are tired of being played and having false role models. You know what I mean? People who are talking but they're not walking. Yeah. So my hat's off to you for the work that you're doing. I look forward to meeting your partner as well, because I see pictures of her and she looks very intense. So I would imagine how you two, rock and roll together. So just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you so much. I really, really, really appreciate that. And so was that during the pandemic when you started the Warriors Against Trafficking, right?
Yeah. You know what happened with that? I started seeing a lot of incidents where women were being attacked through this whole trafficking paradigm. And it became more and more prevalent. I'm like, wait a minute, what's going on? It's like a wave that came. And everywhere you turn, it was something about someone being abducted, hacked or lured. And so, as warriors, we can't sit. We can't sit and let stuff go by. Like it kills me to see men, grown men, with cameras recording people being attacked, recording women being attacked. I mean, that just galls me to no end. So let me bring it.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I'm totally with you on that. And we need to talk about it, y'all, because we gotta do better. We gotta do better. They're just to me as guilty and responsible as the person that's doing the the offending, because you're not helping. You're just kind of like feeding into that. We just have to do better.
Yeah, you instigate like we used to do in elementary school and in middle school. You know what I mean? You're instigating.
Yeah.
Like the devil that throws the stone and hides his hand.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, and so I sat and I thought about it, and I said, man, what can we do as martial artists? What can we do? And I just decided to say, hey, I want to see if I can bring some martial artists together from around the country, ultimately around the world, who care enough about women to say, look, I'm standing for women. You know what I mean? Not that they have to come under my leadership or or have to follow any particular system that I had in place, but just to raise their hand to say, look, I'm a warrior against trafficking, right? And so the idea was born. I reached out to people, Grandmaster Soke Hassan, Grandmaster Anthony Muhammad, just some of the guys who had a lot of influence out there and who genuinely care. I'm very particular about who, I bring into, some of the things that I do, but I can speak for those two,
Yes.
So we talked and we had, some Zoom meetings, and we had about maybe 70, 80 martial arts from around the country, a few from my country, and they all put their hand up, said, yeah, let's do it. And so I put the website together, which is, warriorsagainsttrafficking.com, and provided some training videos there, some other resources for them. It's free for women, and they have resources there. And the idea is to have people like you put your input in on the website, put your training clips up, even if it's just a 1 minute, 2 minute tip on this or something verbal, just to keep women engaged and inspired and encouraged. And so, of course, it went on hold because Corona had all of us in survival.
Man.
You know what I mean? A lot of us lost our schools.
Yeah.
All my friends lost their schools. So we were in survival mode. So it was, I'm not gonna say it was put on the back burner, but we had to in it, right?
Yes.
But it's still live and kicking. And we're looking forward to having people join us. It's a free membership. Again, we're just saying that, hey, we're going to educate women about trafficking because it's a serious situation. $150 billion industry.
Wow.
$150 billion industry.
Wow.
And that's sex trafficking alone. And so we have the website, the network for the martial artists, which is a group actually, where they're and we can put our heads together in terms of what we can do to help, keep women out of the jaws of the traffickers. It's just
because like you said, I mean, it's a, I know we hear that we hear that buzzword a lot or whatever, but I don't know if people know if everybody knows just how serious that business is and how for real it is. Recently I was rewatching one of my favorite movies. I like that movie Taken.
Yeah,
with Liam Neeson, and even they touched that whole thing is around the whole trafficking thing.
Yes.
And it's just how how I guess it's a sophisticated business too.
Yes.
And these people are connected and they have huge, strong connections,
Yeah.
And then it leads on into our
They move in teams. It's a whole have in place. We have some police officers here who are helping us out with this whole thing. And wow, some of the things they shared with us, unbelievable how these guys are using certain tactics, even through social media and through some of these groups that they call single travel this and all that. Yeah, those are havens for these traffickers.
Okay. And I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to talk about that new book too pretty soon.
Oh, yeah.
It's just so much information out here, and we just have to educate ourselves because a lot of times, unless we seek out that information on our own, it's not going to just, come to us because the media, a lot of times, they're so busy, putting other things out there. They're not going to, tell us about what's really going on. So we have to take it up on ourselves and, our own networks or whatever and share it and, do our due diligence and making sure that, our loved ones and people that we care about and beyond are safe, and that they have ways that they can do the online training and all the other stuff now that we found out through Corona that we can do. But we're going to talk about that too. But before we get there, the next topic I want to touch on is, and this is a big one for me, and I know for you too, the character of martial artists. And when I say that, I mean, does that or should that even matter, do you think, and why, as far as having real character?
Absolutely. Well, let me say, to me, character is everything.
Yes,
and as martial warriors, one of the things we're supposed to project is high standards, right? Again, people are just tired of false role models. Yeah. They're tired of people gloating. They're tired of people, you know, carrying the titles, but not walking the walk. I know, and it is touchy because this whole martial world, everyone has their own model of reality, right? Not even a martial world, just people in general. We all have our own model of reality. But in the martial art world, there's a code that we live by. We're supposed to live by.
Supposed to live by.
You know what I mean? And that code speaks to the initiated, to the ones that said, while the uninitiated are using profanity and have no control of their words, the initiated have control of their thoughts, and so therefore have control over their words, right? Mm-hmm. The uninitiated have no control of their actions, right? Because they have no control of their thoughts. The initiated is supposed to have control over their thoughts and thereby have control over their actions, right? Mm-hmm. And so we're slipping because the ego has inflated or the whole martial art world, you know, and it's not all of us. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not all, but it's enough of them who are bad mouthing each other to the point where it's making all of us look bad.
Yes.
Right. And nothing against the UFC and their model of reality, which is blood and guts, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But that has no place as it relates to family martial arts and personal development for our young people.
Yes.
You see? And so that's their world. I mean, if that's what they want to do, that's fine. I think it was the late June Reed that said it, Grandmaster June Reed that said it. Martial arts without philosophy is just fighting. Mm. Yeah. And so unless we adhere to that code, we're going to become like the false role model that people now see out there. We're it. Listen, GM, we're it. The teenagers, the young people aren't listening to anyone else. They're not going to church. The school isn't giving them the character development piece. Mm-hmm. They're teaching to the test. And so they're disconnected in school, and then they go off to college where they have someone standing in front of them that's subliminally saying to them, I got mine. You need to get yours.
Yes.
And so there's no nurturing mm-hmm. going on in terms of the spirit. It's just learn this, go out in corporate America, get lost in corporate America, and that's it. Yeah. Right. But what about the young people that are in the streets and they're looking for direction, looking for guidance? What about the young ladies?
Yeah.
That looking for guidance from the sisters? Yeah. You know, so yes, it's a problem. Yeah. And we, as martial arts, we really need to address it.
We do.
Even though, end of the day, there's somebody for everybody.
This is true.
And it's sad, but and look, I don't talk about anyone in particular, but I got to discuss this.
Okay.
Look at people, martial artists who are doing this, you know, point the finger and people are flying all over the room. Uh-huh. You see what I'm saying? To us, that's an insult, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But they have a market.
They have a market, right?
They have students.
Right.
They come to school every single day, right? Yes. And so that's reality. We can't be the martial art police.
You're right.
So what do we do? What do we do? One of my spiritual teachers taught, just don't condemn a dirty glass. Just put a clean glass beside it. Yes. And so we just have to lead by example.
Exactly.
You know? Because we know the whole yin and yang, the whole opposite, the power, the whole concept of the opposites. we need them, believe it or not. Like we need cheerleaders. We need people that don't want to do nothing but talk. We need them because we can have that contrast. And people can look and see, say, wow, you know, GM Diedra, she's a real martial artist. These guys over here, or these folks over here, they playing martial arts. So we need that contrast. But at the same time, it still affects our image in its totality.
Exactly.
As martial artists. And so I tell you, I'm all for community.
Yeah.
But I don't want to be wasting time with people who just want to posture, you know, and just want to be in the light and just want to be seen and want to be heard. I want to surround myself with solid martial artists that know the issues and challenges that our young people are having in the community, that our women are having across the board. Because you all, sorry to say, are being attacked on all fronts.
Yes, sir.
On all fronts.
Absolutely.
I mean, you have the racists out there that's so fearful of you and of us that they're attacking you to get at us.
Yes.
Then you have the insecure boyfriend, you know. Then you have the sick rapist, you know, that you have to navigate your way from the time you open your door. And then some people are sleeping with the enemy.
Wow. That's real talk.
You see?
That's real talk. Sleeping with the enemy.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you're right. And we get it from, you know, as women, we get it from, like you said, from all fronts, from the east, from the west, from the north, from the south. So that's why it just really blows my mind, though, when, and this is a whole nother topic that we don't really have to get into now, but just, you know, just to point it out while we're on this subject, you know, that's why it's so important to me about women empowering and coming together too. You know what I mean? And we can't do that when this woman is putting her mouth on this one because of their insecurities or whatever. We're not, you know, we're defeating the whole purpose because the people that we're trying to reach, of course, they see that, you know what I mean? And it's like, it really should be about a common goal, about the empowering of women, because like you said, I mean, we're really, and like Malcolm X said, which is, but you know, one of the things that I love about him, you know, I mean, women are, especially Black women, the most disrespected, unprotected, neglected, all of that. And it's the truth. So then why would you, as a sister to me, who, you know, looks like me, want to tear me down? And you're tearing yourself down. That means that somewhere it's a disconnect on the inside of you, you know, but it just, I don't know, it just really just blows my mind. So, but like you said, do what I can while I can.
Exactly.
Like what you say. That's all I can do.
And we have to look at the fact that it's a conditioning that's 4 centuries old.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
I had to study the power of habits, because at one point I couldn't get it. I couldn't understand why we were so hateful towards each other.
Unbelievable.
You know, I used to be an advocate. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, no, I used to go to folks that were, you know, in the street about to fight, and I'd get in the middle of them and say, are you serious?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? With all the fronts that we're being attacked, and you guys attack. You know what I mean? So, but we have to be patient with those who haven't broken that program that runs their head. You know what I mean? Because of the centuries of programming that have taken place. And I'm telling you, the programming is real. There's some people walking around here now that have no idea that their whole life is being ran by a program from the past.
Yeah.
And so when you see people, go to martial arts, when you see people who are supposed to be, you know, masters and grandmasters, when you see them bad mouthing each other, or
racist and revealing their race, we find out that they're racist, some of them.
That they're racist, you know, because the environment now is conducive for them to come out of that.
We discovered that. Yeah.
We discovered that, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
We had to put a few of them on blast.
Yes, sir.
And I say this: I'm a peaceful man by nature, peaceful warrior by nature. Right? But one thing that will push my button is when you disrespect a woman because of her race. That's my kryptonite. Yeah, that's my kryptonite. And there was a situation, I know you remember it because you jumped on there and you came right behind me, hooking and jabbing right behind me, right? But you know, this gentleman has been in this community for years. And I really thought we were did business together, business dealings together. And when I saw what he posted about the comparison of
Vice President Kamala Harris.
Yes, when he posted that, I called him to the carpet.
You sure did.
Yeah, I called him to the carpet.
You did. But GM, you said I came in hooking and jabbing, and I did it with, you know, in second nature. I didn't even have to think twice about it.
That's right.
What disturbed me was the ones that didn't come in hooking and jabbing, and why not?
Come on.
Why not? Everybody should have. Why not? You know. So again, the programming and all of that you talked about, they did a number on our people.
That's right. No question. And listen, and let's go a little deeper. A lot of those guys are, you know, I'm talking about. There were some folks that right in this area, tournament promoters, all types of folks, never opened their mouth.
No.
Never said a word. And see, they don't realize that it speaks to their character. I don't have to say anything. I don't have to call them out. No. It speaks to their character, especially when they go right back on and they're communicating with him like nothing happened.
Yes, sir.
See?
Yes, sir. And I'm sure that was not a person that it may have seemingly been like an isolated incident because of how it came, but I'm sure there are other people that feel, you know, the same and, you know, the same as he does.
Exactly.
You know, that represent, like you said, that title, you know, master, grandmaster, sensei, teacher, all influencing children and teaching other. So my thing is, I mean, I don't know if you can be too far away from, you know, the head or whatever instruction, whose instruction you're under. It's got to some kind of way that has to, you know, say something about, you know, you two at some point. If you know,
like energy.
Yeah.
Like it facts.
Absolutely. No. Again, we can go on and on and on about. I'm gonna have to move on, but we'll talk about that again some more later. And then the next thing was we want to talk about the value of what we do and the worth and our compensation and why do you think it is that oftentimes people might seem to devalue what it is we do when it comes to compensating us for this life's work that we put in?
Yeah, I like that when you say life work, because in my opinion, what we do is so valuable to the community. The government should honestly be subsidized.
Amen.
And I believe that with all my heart. I will go to the White House. I'll go to the Senate floor. I'll go wherever I need to go, and I will speak it. Because there's some people, and I really hope it reaches these old school players been in the community since the 60s, 70s, 50s, 60s, and 70s, right? I hope it reaches these folks because growing up, we didn't have any, but there was nobody that spoke to us.
Right.
You know, outside of the wino on the corner. And don't get me wrong, they spoke some good stuff, right? Don't be like me, you know, go get yourself a good job and all that kind of stuff. But there was no superhero. And martial artists, to kids and to adults, we are looked at as superheroes. Right. Why? Because of our discipline, right? Sir. And our desire to communicate a higher principle and live a higher truth. You see?
Yes, sir.
We're admired for that. We're admired for the fact that we know how to control our tongue, many of us. Control our thoughts, control our actions, right? Which controls ultimately who we are and our destiny. We're valued for that. So it may appear on the outside that they value the fact that we can do certain feats, you know, which of course feeds the ego, but deep down inside, they admire what we stand for. You know, they admire what we stand for. And so when you talk about value as it relates to their community, I don't know of any other entity that's more valuable than martial arts instructors. You know, those guys in the 50s, 60s, 70s, they laid a foundation for all of us.
Yes, sir.
Right. I'm not behind bars or 6 feet under because of some martial artists.
Right.
And I know there's millions of people around the world that could say the exact same thing, right? Yes. The late great Moses Power, someone who worked from can't see morning, can't see night to keep those kids off the street. Grandmaster Fred Hamilton, Grandmaster Tom the Puppet. I can go on and on with all the, you know, Grandmaster Joe. Come on now.
Absolutely. And my instructor in Milwaukee, Grandmaster Mr. Charles Warren, Professor Warren, same thing. Got out, came from Vietnam and got in the inner city. They opened those dojos up and got those kids in there. Same thing. And it was happening all, and here's the thing, it was happening all around the US. And we just now starting to connect the dots, but it was like, you know, that was something that they took the initiative to do, you know. Exactly. And had they not, I wouldn't be sitting here in this spot. I know I wouldn't, and neither would you, you know.
Come on.
Yeah, we're byproducts of it for sure.
We're byproducts of it. And so what are we doing with it? See, how do you honor someone who gives their life to you?
Yes.
How do you honor someone like that? You honor them by picking the torch up and then carrying on what he instilled in you and instilled in all the other people in the community. And so that's what we're doing. We're taking that torch and we're keeping the kids, we're bringing the kids in, and we're occupying that real estate. That if we occupy it, by default, the streets are gonna overwhelm them. You see? And so yeah. And listen, you've been in martial arts, I'm guessing 40 something years, right?
Yes,
pushing 50 years, right?
Ooh, you dating me.
Hey, let me tell you something.
47 years.
That might be one thing, but the appearance is something totally different.
Look, you're trying to clean it up, y'all. Clean it up. Thank you. I'll take it.
That's real talk.
Thank you.
And so I say that because when you look at people who are in academics, right?
Yes, sir.
They go to school for 4 years to get a bachelor's degree. They go another 2 years, they get a master's degree. So that's total of 6 years in school.
Yeah, I see where you're going.
They go another 2 or 3 years, right? And then get a doctorate degree, which is the highest level, right? You have 40 plus, almost 50 years. So where are you on the spectrum? See?
Wow, it's like PhD or something, huh?
PhD. So you have 4 of those.
Ooh.
You have 4 of those. A lot of the martial artists around here today in the community have 4 doctorate degrees. And so why are we being paid like we work in McDonald's?
Come on now. Talk about it.
You see?
Man,
listen,
other things that won't benefit them, but for a moment. And I give the example oftentimes, and this will be, you know, to my sisters that, you know, and I know I like to look good too, but I know some ladies that will go without a second thought and pay hundreds of dollars to get a hairdo or weave or whatever. And, you know, but when it comes to wanting to train and teach them martial arts, and they got all these different reasons, you know, why, well, you know, maybe and or can I get a discount, you know, that kind of thing. And it's like, this is something that's going to help you for the rest of your life or your child or whatever. You know what I'm saying? This is an investment in your life, you know, not in just a temporary investment in, you know, how you look. And that's just an example. I know there are other examples, but you know.
No, that's a great example. That's a great example. And that's perception, right? That's perception and self-esteem. And so when you have someone who value their look more than their being, there's a disconnect. But we got to do what? We got to go look back and say, okay, well, again, back to the conditioning, back to the programming.
Yes.
Right? Back to the program. And so there's 2 challenges now. The challenge you just spoke about so eloquently, I might add, and then the challenge of our perception of who we are. See? Because we wear the belts and we put on the look and the titles and all that, but we don't. Some of us don't even believe we're supposed to be compensated.
See?
To the degree that I'm saying we should be compensated. See, here's what I believe, right? If your heart is pure, then whatever it is you're doing will be done better. So with more, you can do more. Yeah. So if you're making a difference in the community, if you're transforming kids' lives and bringing adults together and teaching them martial excellence, and as a result, they're growing and flourishing in their businesses and their jobs and families. What kind of price can you? I mean, where do you put the price at on something like that? Transforming a person's life is priceless. I had a lady here came to me and said to me, she grabbed me in the middle of a test, and she said, "If I ever hit the lotto," she said, "I will hand walk you $1 million." And I've heard, and I know you heard a lot of stories from people, but that stuck with me.
Yeah.
Because what she was saying is, I understand the value
and what you do.
of what you're bringing here to the community, what you're doing for our children. And it's always the senior citizen that comes at you like that, right? Yeah. Because old school, and they know.
Yeah.
And so there's a serious problem or challenge, not problem. There's a serious challenge with our way of thinking. And so you have that segmented group that came from the old school in the 60s, where they were taught by the soldiers that, this is, or by Grandmaster Ching Wong Fung from overseas that, martial arts it's not about money. It's about a way of life, and it's about this and that. And that's okay if you live in an environment where you don't have to buy anything, or you don't have to, you don't rely on money. That doesn't exist here, right? And so the ones that bought into that, they're now in a cocoon. And so whenever you can't even talk to them. And I don't even try to say anything to them, because it's about money. They go work a full-time job, and then they come and do their 1 or 2 days, and they're good. And that's okay. I'm talking to the one who is present now and like, wait a minute. We have dance studios, basketball, football coaching.
Yes.
Making more than someone who's transforming people's lives.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I make no apologies for taking what God has gifted me and expanding it globally. Yes. Because I know where my heart's at.
Yes.
Right? Yes. And I live the code, right? Not saying I'm perfect by a long shot, but I'm quick to admit that I'm not perfect and quick to admit my mistakes. But one thing I'm not going to do, I'm not going to be put in a box by someone who was programmed and is operating at a ceiling that doesn't allow them to grow and expand and create and recreate.
Yeah.
We're created by nature. Martial arts can't even contain our spirit.
Exactly. It's so much bigger. And that's why I'm even doing that mind, body, spirit. That's what I want to, you know what I'm saying? Because it's so much more than just martial arts is very important, but it's all the other things are too. The mind, body, and spirit, and collectively working together.
Exactly. Exactly. So we can't even let martial arts put us in the box. We got to allow our creative juices to expand across the globe. Listen, if those folks back in the old school days, if they had access where they can touch a button on a phone and reach people all around the globe, or send a signal up in the air and that signal picks up and transmutes out to people all around the world, if they had that, they would have been doing it. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But those old school folks bought into the fact that, oh no, we're not supposed to. Wait a minute, you're not in that era now.
Right.
You in high speed, get it done yesterday era.
Right.
Where we could beam ourselves from one side of the planet to the other.
Right.
Seconds.
Right. Exactly.
Why not take the message and beam it around the world?
Right.
You
You're
know?
absolutely right. And because some of the old school, they're comfortable where, in that, like you said, the box kind of thing. And
Yes,
they're not interested in, for whatever reason, they're just, yeah.
yes,
Like that.
yes.
So we gotta do what we can do while we're here, though, right? And
Exactly,
do
exactly.
these
So
kind
my
of
mission,
platforms.
right? My mission then, if you will, is to try to help reshape that mindset.
Yes, and we're gonna talk about that too. The
Okay,
NEN, we're gonna
okay,
get on that because I'm saving that baby for last because that's a beautiful
okay.
thing that you're doing. I mean, that is amazing, and I know that's going to impact just millions of people globally. So y'all want to stay tuned because y'all want to hear about this. We almost there. um, so just two quick more things, or a few things before we get there. So I noticed that the pandemic, like you said, a lot of people lost their schools, lost students, and now virtually is a way that we learn. That's another way that we can do that too. So what do you think? And now that things started to kind of open up, now it's kind of pushing back a little bit. We just don't know what's going to happen with all of the madness in the world. We really just don't know. But let me tell you, what do you think then, as far as the building now that we know we can do it, mobily, and globally and all that. So what are your thoughts on the brick and mortar versus the virtual and all that? What are your thoughts about that?
Well, listen. I've had a brick and mortar now for almost 30 years, right? And so, if I had to do it all over again,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have rented a brick and mortar, right? Either I would have either invested in owning property, or I would have had what you call a roving martial art business, where I would, probably rented out space for 2 days a week with no headache, just occupying that space for that particular time that I needed it, right? Because the only person get wealthy when you rent a landlord.
Yeah, but do you agree or disagree with this though? And I agree with what you said, but as far as getting wealthy in other ways, as far as community and family, because some of us, we may not, we may have our closest feeling of family is in that brick and mortar, right?
Yeah,
When we
yeah.
come together, and you know what I mean. So
No, I'm with you. That's why I have a brick and mortar, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
so
but in today's society,
yeah,
right? You have options, right? You have options, and so you can still have that family cohesion and still have people coming together, but you have a facility where somebody owns a place, and you say, okay, I want to use your facility 2 or 3 times a day. I mean, a week.
okay,
It's still a place you call home because they're coming together, they're doing the training, but you're not obligated.
okay.
So
What
that's
about
just
a different
that's
way of doing it?
that's one model. Brick and mortar is always the way to go if you can find a place that you can rent to own at some point,
Yeah,
right?
like you said, with people losing their jobs and losing their income and things like that, it might not be the most feasible way for a lot of people right now to do that.
Exactly. But the
Now
roving, the roving option is good because now you have no liability, right? Now you're doing your private lessons, your group lessons. You're going out and doing corporate trainings.
Mhm,
You get your SAM's number so you can go and do contracts with the government. And so
mhm.
you're basically, the world is your market, say,
Yeah,
right? You
yeah,
can you can go where you want. You can bring your laptop.
yeah. Yeah. So that's like the signs of the times that we're living in, right? To kind of make that
Exactly.
adjustment. And we did really learn that the adjustment can be made now with the Zooms and all the different things from the pendant. Because who would ever thought that? I think about remember the Jetsons that used to come on back in the day?
Yeah, yeah,
It's like I just sometimes feel like that's where we are right now. And
exactly.
but we get it done. I mean, I know a lot of people prefer the face to face and the contact where you be able to, have a partner to train with and all that. But hey, we got to do what we got to do. Do it
We
the
have
way, you know what
we
I'm
have to
saying?
times. We're living in uncertain times right now. It's
True.
we're in a state of uncertainty, and so we have to adjust. Like when the pandemic hit, I was in Panama,
Hmm.
and I came back on a Sunday, I believe. Came back on a Sunday. No, I'm sorry. Came back on a Wednesday, and woke up the next day on Thursday, and the governor said we had till 5 o'clock before we had to shut the school down.
Wow.
Now, keep in mind, we went from 27 years, I guess back then, 26 years of never having to close, never having a hiccup like this. All of a sudden, shutting down the business. Didn't even understand Zoom, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But within a weekend, I had to gather up a bunch of videos and put them on a platform just so they can look at something while we figured out the Zoom thing and come up with a game plan. So at the end of the day, we had to, we had to, that's right, improvise. Thank you.
Sir.
And say, look, what are we going to do? Sit down, come up with a game plan. And so, thank God we made it work and wind up being a blessing because we're like, wait a minute, folks can really learn online.
Yeah.
They can really learn online. Now, the contact stuff,
yeah,
you're going to require them to have somebody with them, but giving somebody the foundation, the basics, and how to throw your punches and your feet and all that kind of.
Because you were able to develop some other online things that we're going to talk about too in a minute as a result of that too, right? So then now you know that because we don't know what's going to happen from one day to the next with whatever is going, at least you know now that you can still thrive even,
exactly.
if you have to that way, virtually. So, okay, good. And so now, and then I noticed too over the years, that, we've been following each other on social media, but I've noticed that you've been real intentional and consistent about your motivational speeches and giving people the words of wisdom and that you do on I believe on Wednesdays and things like that, and I think and all that is just so profound and it resonates with me a lot because that's exactly where I'm at in life right now too, wanting to be to be purposeful in inspiring other people and sometimes you just never know, even if you just help one person, that you just gave somebody the boost that they needed. You know what I mean? And you just had no idea that, that people reach out to me too and say, oh, thank you so much. And you're not thinking about it like that. You're just doing it. You're just giving what's inside of you because a lot of times when I do that, I told you, I'm talking to myself before I'm talking to anybody else. You know what I'm saying?
There you go.
And it's like, here now you have started something that I think is just really, really wonderful. And I don't know if I want to talk about that or if I want to talk about the book next. So we've got so many great things going on. I'll talk about the book next, but for right now, let's talk about No Excuse Nation. Okay. Which launched on yesterday. Congratulations again. And I'm happy to be one of the founding members of that. I think it's a phenomenal thing that you're doing. Can you tell the people out here that are watching what No Excuse Nation is all about and what was your inspiration in creating that baby?
Yeah. So, let me say, well, thank you for that. But let me just say that, during the pandemic, people were stressing out. Mm-hmm. And I mean, stressing out to the point where, folks were calling and was just asking for some advice or support or something. And I said, we got to do something. Again, that's that warrior spirit that we have. We got to do something. And so I opened up a meditation opportunity for people to chime in. I meditate every morning anyway. So I said, what is this to turn the camera on? And it started out with, 10, 15 people to wind up going up to 60, 70, 80 people chiming in the mornings. I thought it was for the meditation piece. Of course, it helped, but the community, just being able to talk with folks. Because you remember back then we couldn't touch anybody, right?
I know.
And so just to be able to look at folks and talk and share and hear from other people, I think that's what kept them there. And so I said to myself, people are hurting. Mm-hmm. And as long as we stay within the four walls of the martial arts world, they're not going to get to experience the internal transformations that we developed as a result of doing martial arts. And so to be totally transparent, a lady on social media inboxed me and she said, hey, I love your martial arts stuff that you do. It's really nice. And the and the talks and stuff you do, she said, but why don't you post something for us? Why don't you do a video for us? And I wasn't doing video. You probably don't realize it. I wasn't doing video online. I wasn't going online to do no video. I'll post a motivational piece, all that, but I wasn't going online.
I wasn't doing it either.
Yeah, I wasn't doing it. Yeah, that was out of the question. I'm like, no, I'm not doing no video, right?
Yeah.
You know, when you're called,
yeah,
you don't have a choice.
Yeah.
You know, and so No Excuse Nation has been something that's been on my heart for 10 or 12 years. It's like, and what can we do with all of this that we've learned over the years through our life experiences and through the martial discipline? What, you know, how can I get this out to the common person? Mm-hmm. And so I just made a decision. I said, man, you know, January 2022, it was supposed to be 21, to be honest with you, but Rona knocked it out. And so I said, January 2022, I'm going to launch No Excuse Nation Group. And basically it's a community of like-minded achievement seekers who are just sick and tired of procrastination, sick and tired of living life, you know, or live, I should say, living a mundane life, not expressing their gift that's positive in them. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And just looking for a vehicle to bring out that giant that's inside of them, right? Mm-hmm. And ways to end procrastination and end the excuses. Surround themselves with like-minded people that elevate and support and edify them, right? That's what's important to me, is that you have that community of people that say, listen, I'm rooting for you. Mm-hmm. I want to see you. There's some, you know, imagine having 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people that say, I see something in you, and genuinely mean it, right? Mm. And then help you along the way. Resources from all over the world. Hey, I know this person. Hey, I got this thing if you need it. What's your email address? I'm gonna send you this. Where you coming to Florida? Oh, let me pick you up at the airport. Just resources.
Yes.
Because mother told me this a long time ago. She said, listen, boy, you need to stop getting mad about things that you don't like. If you don't like something, do something about it. Do something about it. Right? Do something about it. So we're in an environment right now that's very hostile. We're in an environment right now where people feel trampled on and depressed, right? Mm-hmm. And full of anxiety. And so this No Excuse Nation is a community inside a community.
Yes.
You know, I call it a community within a community.
Yes.
So we just gonna help each other go through the stratosphere. So it's not about what GM Scott says. It's not about what the other administrators say. It's what are we gonna do collectively? How can we help each other collectively? And so I'm hoping by doing this that I get the martial arts to see the motto and see the concept behind it, and maybe we can take this into the whole martial art world.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice?
You see what I'm saying? And expand our reach, you know, as it relates to personal excellence. Because at the end of the day, No Excuse Nation is about us striving to reach our highest potential possible. Oh. Because a lot of people, look, they wake up, they do what? They wake up, they go to work, they come home, they pay bills, they go to sleep, they wake up, they do the same thing. Yep.
It's time to live, you know, just full out now. I mean, it's just time. It's just time. We've lost, and I'm sure you have to, we've lost people over these last couple of years due to the coronavirus. And and I think for sure that the harvest is definitely ripe for something, for this, because people need it, they need it. I mean, like we're coming out of isolation. I don't know, it might be going back into it. We just don't know. Yeah. But you know what I mean? But we need each other at the end of the day. And I said that, the other day, at the end of the day, we really do all need each other, we can only get so much done. And again, I'm preaching to the choir, alone. And then if you can get a lot of stuff done alone, then that's great. But imagine, how much more you can get done and how many more people you can reach with a community like this. So that's why I jumped in right away,
Yes. Yes.
So man,
Yes.
I think it's going to be, I know it's going to be phenomenal. Again, the launch was great yesterday. So congratulations to you on that. And then I just want to read, because we talked about our achievements in 2021, right? And how we left a mark, but can you just imagine 2022 when we having this conversation again? Oh my
Listen.
Listen, y'all, let me just read just a few of the things. And I know this is probably not everything that you did, but the things that, as you say, that you could think of. And I know a humble guy and all that, but I'm gonna read it anyway. Just some of Grandmaster Scott's achievements just for year 2021 by itself. Okay. So he launched a number of global certification programs to include the combat Kanteo and Filipino boxing. He read 20 books.
20
okay.
Books.
Wow. I might have picked up 20, but I didn't read all 20. Man, I'll tell you what. Okay. So he led another 10K savings challenge on Facebook, which you just completed, you said, on Friday. Congratulations on that. That's really huge. He traveled to Panama to see and train his brothers over in Panama. He created his first 3 master instructors in his combat Kanteo program. He paid off his house by his birthday, just like he planned he would. Congratulations on that. He finished it, and we're going to take a pause right here, and then we're going to go on. But he finished his latest book, Travel Safety Secrets, recently, the handbook. Let's talk about that dynamic piece of work that you just put out there. And then after we talk about it, I want you to tell people how they can pick up, because y'all need to all have a copy of this for your safety and for the safety of your loved ones and your friends. So tell us about that.
Well, listen, I started, in all transparency, I started that book in 2019.
Okay.
And then, of course, Rona hit, and I just shifted my focus. But I was looking for something. I said, man, how can I add additional layers to women and men too? Because this book is actually for everyone. Mm-hmm. And so I started writing the book, and I said, man, this is a lot of information. When I started doing my research, I realized there's a lot of information that can go in this book. Mm-hmm. And so I said, but no one wants a big book they got to put in the suitcase. And then once they get to their destination, they're not going to read it, right? Uh-huh. And what I decided to do is make it a little pamphlet.
Yes, I love that.
And so it's small enough to fit right in a sister's purse, or stick it, in his bag. But it's an info-packed book with things that you could do prior, while you're on your vacation or trip, and when you head out. I'm talking about things to do in preparation for your trip, right? What to do if you lose your passport. Cruise safety, hotel safety, safety when you're moving about in vehicles. You know what I mean? How to search an area for crime. Think about that. How many times we just jumped on a plane? Oh, we going to Mexico, or we're gonna go. We're flying to here, not realizing that just yesterday, some guys came up on a boat at one of the resorts and started spraying the beach. Mm. And so if you had a resource like this, you'd be able to go and say, well, let me check that area before I put my down. See, let me check the area. Then you'll find, oh, wait a minute, there's a lot of crime going on against people who are traveling.
Yes.
And so those kind of things, and I'm getting really good reviews from it. Yeah. Because I in really simple terms where people can understand, and not trying to use all these big words and all that stuff, but just to get the message across. I even have apps in here that you can put on your phone, and it will tell you certain dangerous areas to look out for. It will set up a network in your family that will beam out a call if there's something wrong, that will beam it out to your entire family or your entire network. This is powerful stuff that's sitting in this.
Incredible.
Yeah.
And for women, and I always go back to women. For women, I know a lot of sisters who they do the girls' trips, or sometimes they travel alone for business or whatever, for work or whatever. And I think, for women, for everybody, particularly for women, to have a guide like that is just, I mean, it's paramount. That's huge. So thank you
Thank
for
you.
putting that piece of work together. That is a huge deal, and much success to you on that. And can you tell us how to go about getting a copy of your latest book?
Yeah. So the name of the book is Travel Safety Secrets.
Mm-hmm.
And all they have to do is go to travelsafetysecrets.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's $10. It's normally $12.95, but I discounted it down to $10 for the holidays. I'm gonna keep it at $10 for at least for a while. But we ship out within 24 hours. And so now that the holiday's over with, now we can get these things out in people's hands right away. So yeah, I'm excited about the book. You know, like I said, it's a lot of pertinent information. If they do purchase it, I would love to hear their feedback, you know, and if they don't mind taking a little picture with the book, you know,
Yeah.
we got to do that for each other. We got to,
Absolutely.
we support everybody else. We wear everybody else's Louis Vuitton. We wear everybody else's stuff, but we don't support each other.
We don't. We got to do better. We got to do better with that. We got to do better with that. And you know, because you know, we all we got. You know what I'm saying?
All
we got. You know.
All
so
we got.
We got to do it. So kudos to you on creating that masterpiece right there. And another thing that I wanted to, and thank you for telling us how to go about getting. So I want to continue from what I was reading, because that wasn't even all of it, y'all. Okay, so he just put the book out, and then also he provided protection for Congresswoman Cori Bush, and through your students' efforts, you fed over 1,040 homeless people for Thanksgiving. That's amazing. That's amazing. So it like again, it extends way beyond just the martial arts. You know, this is a community. You know, he was selected to be in the Amazon bestseller magazine called Deadly Art of Survival. We see that magazine going around, and that's a great. I mean, that's a huge accomplishment too. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
And he promoted 4 more students to black belt. So how many is that now?
Well, we're at 138 now.
138 black belts. Woo!
Yeah.
Kudos to you. He had a successful weekend martial arts training event called the Peaceful Warriors Gathering. And I know that was a big deal. I know that was Mama's birthday, and I had to fly to Milwaukee, but I know that was a man.
Remember, yeah.
But you're doing it again this year. 2022 is happening, right? You already got the date set. I'm there. I'm there for that one for sure. I'm there. Let's see what else. So you launched your business consulting group called was it 10 Times Martial Arts Group or 10
Martial Arts Group? Yeah.
Okay. And then again, No Excuse Nation. That's where we are right now. That's just 2021.
2021.
That's amazing. And I bet you know you never really stop to think about everything you did, and while you're writing it down, it just like how you say. I mean, you say envision it, commit it to paper.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying, and then take that massive action is what your motto is, right?
Oh.
Write the vision, make it plain. Let go all the way back to the Bible.
All the way back to the book.
You know?
It's the fundamentals. It's the fundamentals. And I'm gonna tell you something. Look, it's taken a lifetime, right?
Yeah.
Finally get it.
To finally get it.
To finally get it. Look, envision it, right?
Yes.
Paper so you own it.
That's right.
And then take massive action on it. Massive right action.
Massive right action.
Right action, because you can a hamster taking action on a wheel.
Right. Right. So then they have so you providing this group, so there's no excuse now.
Right.
I mean, because it's right there. You know what I mean? They just reach out to you, or you know, and got to be serious minded about it.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, because you got to do the inner work too.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. And so it's not for everybody. And I always like to say that, Jim, that it's really not for everybody, because it's for It's for everybody, but based on where people are at in life.
In their own timing.
In their own time. Exactly. Even if people come on board, what did we say the other day, right? Meet people where they are.
Yes, sir.
There's no pressure. We have extroverts, we have introverts, we have super introverts, no pressure. Let people work at their own pace. There's nothing wrong with being an introvert. I'm an introvert, believe it or not. I'm an introvert, right? I speak when I need to speak, but for the most part, I'm very reserved.
Mm-hmm.
And so
because I am too. You would never know it, but I spend most of my time by myself. You know what I
Absolutely.
mean? You know, we
Absolutely.
just know how to, when we talk and we need to do what we need to do, we get it done,
That's right.
but I get that,
That's
but then
so
when you
yeah.
get this call on your life, you gotta go ahead and, you gotta go ahead and, even if it's uncomfortable, we gotta go ahead and, like it was the scripture there about, when God gives us our talent, it's like, what are we gonna do with it? We're gonna hide it, we're gonna play small or whatever, we're gonna go full out,
ab-
and so we gotta go full out with the talent that he gave us. Otherwise, shame on us. You know what I mean? I
right.
mean, we just, what was it for?
That's right. That's right. I say that this is something I live by, GM. I said this quote that says, God's gift to us is our potential.
Yes, sir.
And what we do with it is our gift to him.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? And think about this for a second. Imagine going through all of your life only to get to the end of your life and realize that you haven't even scratched the surface of your potential. I mean, I couldn't fathom that, right? Can you imagine how big you would be?
Woo! Wow.
So
Wow. Well, I think that is a perfect note to pause. I'm gonna say pause on, because we're gonna do another one of these soon, if you wouldn't mind.
absolutely.
So much we could talk about.
Yes. So much to talk about, right?
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Oh, we can talk about your event you got coming up. Did you want to touch on that? I know you got something coming up in a couple weeks too, on January 15th, right?
Oh yeah. The 10X martial art group. We rolled.
Okay.
Yeah, the 10X martial art group, that's coming up January 15th. Again, just taking that step to turn back now after almost 30 years to show martial art businesses how to own a business and not a job. You know what I mean? I'm just taking my whole system that I've created over the last nearly 30 years and just gonna turn it over to people and pass the torch and say, look, here's the things that I'm doing, here's what didn't work, and now here's the finished product. So they're gonna get an entire blueprint. So it's 2-day boot camp.
I see.
And it's going, with me, it's a whole experience thing. When they come in, we're gonna do some training. We gotta get on the floor. So we're gonna get some training in. And then we're going to go out to dinner in the harbor. And look, everybody has to be in suit and tie.
Yes.
Why? Because we got to change that mindset.
Yeah, that's right. Mind, body, spirit, right? It's a whole.
That's it. That's it.
I love it. I wish I could be there. I guess I have to make the next one. And next time, my calendar before I schedule something to make sure our calendars aren't colliding. And we got to get you to Atlanta.
Oh, I'm coming.
Okay.
I'm coming.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So thank you so much. I wish you the very best in 2022. I'll be seeing you. I'll be talking to you. We got a lot of stuff to do, and I'm excited about it. And I'm glad to be on the team. So
yes, and I want to thank you too, and for this opportunity, and thank you for all that you do. To help inspire and encourage not just women, everybody. I'm inspired by you. Just seeing the things that you do. How you put people first. And so just want to thank you as well. And I look forward to, taking the world by storm with you. Lock arms with you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, one love to you. Peace, my brother. And we will talk soon. Okay. Thank you so much. God bless you.